This is my Xbox. My vessel of fun, my gateway to legendary stories, my harbinger of degeneracy. But this is not my first Xbox. This was a white box, ass-fat cellulite full of 20 whole gigabytes. Powered by 2005's technical fortitude, it was strong enough to run the new graphical marvels, and with such strong release titles, it's no wonder it failed in Japan. What, you want to kick a ball? This hunk of junk was the expansion pack of my blind addiction to video games. I had so many memories of Gears of War 1, the cold sweats of the corridors of Dead Space. I remember my obsessive achievement collecting, and downloading countless demos from the arcade store and replaying them over and over because we couldn't afford the full version of Trials HD. Oh my god, Fallout 3, this game is so cool, you can kill yourself? But over time, the more that I played, the more rounds of free Uno that went by, it all came to a freeze. My whole world had paused and turned red. This was the Red Ring of Death. No, not even Smeagol or Sauron could escape the three rings. Even Snoop Dogg was snared by its crimson glimmer.
The whole gang freezing, be like, man, what the f is going on?
Angry Joe? He was infected within 4 hours. It turned from an isolated incident discussed at school
I got during a death
to a worldwide epidemic. Old people and non-gamers began writing news reports, and this was from 2007, so this was happening so early on in its production. Actually, it took the Xbox from its release date of November 22nd of 2005 to June of 2006 to have its palace of cards come crumbling.
There were reports of an entirely new, never-before-seen problem.
Ah, the Red Rings of Doom.
Quick, the babies are watching! Use softer words! And apparently, as it turns out, 54% of the Xbox 360s that were produced got affected by the red rings. And I mean, sure, the 360 was a bizarre piece of hardware. Every day was like a dice roll, and if it felt like doing its job today. Okay, Xbox 360, can you roll for a wisdom saving throw? And even Microsoft admitted to rushing the console, which may have left to unstable hardware.
We were absolutely focused on getting out ahead of the PS3. We needed to be seen as the start of the next generation.
Now, the lights on the Xbox have 4 rings. Each ring has its own meanings. One light means something external is going down to Funky Town, or that the Kinect you own has lost connection to your local police department. 2 lights means that dang box too dang hot box, dude. 4 lights means the TV adapter cables are not working correctly, and 3 lights, hardware failure, but mainly poor manufacturing.
The Red Rings are the hottest thing on some Xboxes, literally, a sign the console may have cooked itself.
Shortly after, this makeshift homebrew hack began making rounds, which probably did more harm than good. What you had to do was, you had to wrap your Xbox in a towel, let it heat up for a couple minutes, turn it off, and then let it cool. Now, from first-hand experience, this worked. For about a week or 2, you could just send it back for repairs, but that just means going through the slog of Microsoft support, which would be waiting 4 weeks for Microsoft to send this cardboard box named the coffin, which is really fitting, and then after you sent it, you would have to wait another 4 weeks for your console return, which actually worked. For about a week or 2. And most, if not all of these people, were sending the same Xbox console back multiple times, and despite all of those quote-unquote repairs, it kept dying on them. Microsoft's Timberlands were really shivering at this point, and they began to outright send new ones.
And then they go, okay, we're gonna get you a replacement unit. It doesn't show up for a week. Wow.
Not even Microsoft could figure it out.
Microsoft has been very vague about the specific causes.
We didn't have all the answers at that time.
Which then resulted in a lot, and I mean a lot, of passionate gamers. Trust me, this was the Modern Warfare 2 lobby racism era, so the old school YouTube content back then was... There was this longing, strenuous process of elimination. Steve Jobs and Microsoft would play Operation on his defective consoles, changing the chips around, replacing them with new ones, send them back, and they'd still fail. And that's probably thanks to the custom circuit board design, dressed in all of these newly built chips that they exclusively commissioned for them, with their CPU being designed by ATI Technologies, a company that specializes in chipsets, and conveniently being sold to AMD after the Xbox went tits up. All of these new components means more thorough testing to see the root cause of this infamous epidemic. And so, what was the root cause that was so hard to find for so long? What was it that was causing a bigger red scare than the 50s? Bad thermals. Because of the constant shifting between hot and cold temperatures and being owned by a greasy neckbeard, the CPU solder would commit seppuku. So at that point, all of your Red Ring consoles were practically brain dead. They had no processor. So, You wanna know how much a carve in history costs a conglomerate megacorp? 3 red rings and $1.15 billion. But why that much? Well, the plan was to fix as many consoles as possible for free as fast as possible, because pretty much they were shit scared that their side was gonna defect to PlayStation and they wanted to keep their brand loyalty. Now worry no longer Microsoft, because the PS5 has no games. And so after the Great Red Depression, the best idea for Microsoft now, it was to make a console with a CPU that wasn't made out of Willy Wonka's chocolate. Post-revival, the head of Xbox, Peter Moore, stood down, and through the green curtains emerged Don Mattrick, classic and old-school game designer, famous for words like, buy a 360 if your broke bum-ass don't have a Wi-Fi, lol, and also, Xbox record that.
Xbox record that.
And then the Kinect was made,